Okay, so I cleaned up. I took out all the geometric lines. I kind of tweaked some of the curves, and I'm satisfied with where I am right now. To wrap at this point, a lot of measuring, a lot of sighting, a lot of kind of adjusting. Now I'm going to start to put in the shadows underneath, because when I start to apply value, those are going to be an area that I'm going to work on when I'm applying value. So I want to make sure those are in. So first thing I'm going to do is just kind of clean up. I sketched them in previously, so I'm just going to clean them up, and then now I'm going to put them in. After I put the shadows in, I'm going to clearly erase all of my geometric lines with a white eraser just to get them out of there. And once I just have this line left, then I get my kneaded eraser and I lighten the line. So it's just a ghost of a line. It's still there, enough for you to see so you know where to begin and end a value shape. And then eventually those lines will disappear. But it is very important that you use the kneaded eraser, and I'll explain that in a minute. But for now, I'm going to put in my shadows. Now I'm looking at the shadow here. There's three shadows. There's like four shadows. There's a lot of shadows. And there's three shadows on this guy. It's a triple shadow because I have multiple light sources, which is kind of nice. It makes the composition more interesting. And then there's a shadow, three shadows on this guy too. So this guy is actually, the shadow is going into it. And I don't know if you can see it from your point of view, but the shadow looks like it goes into this form, cuts out about right here, and then comes in about right here. In this case, because they're shadows, you can be a little bit more not carefree. You don't have to measure this part. You can kind of just like put in your lines, and you kind of see what I'm doing. I'm putting in a line here that represents one shadow, and there's a double shadow there. There's another one that comes out a little bit more, and it kind of cuts in. And I'd say it kind of does something like this. Now again, there's time for you to readjust these, not a big deal, but there's another shadow here that I'll get to eventually. There's a third shadow inside of this. I don't know what that's from. It's kind of strange. Oh, I see what it is. There's a third shadow that starts here, and it kind of comes out, and it's right here, and then it kind of curls back in about right here. And I keep making it big, and I think it's smaller than what I think it is, so the whole shadows all together should be about right here. So shadows should only be about this big. All right. Okay. All right. So I have this figured out. Notice I went a lot bigger. I'm not sure if you can see what I'm doing. Notice I went a lot bigger than what I thought. Is that better? and I had to shrink it up. How do I shrink it up? I measured and I double checked. So I measured the length of the shadows, all three of them together, and I compared it to the apple, and it looked like it went up about that deep into the apple. So that gave me the information. Now I'm going to put the shadows in on the other side. Looks like it comes out of the apple right here. The first one stays pretty close to the apple, and then just kind of goes off the page. It's fine, I don't have to worry about it because it's out there. The second one mimics that same curve. And this one might be a little closer. And then the third one comes out, I'd say about, I'm just going to measure this shadow. Big. So it should come out about here. Yeah. So this one comes out about here, comes back into the apple about right here. So then there's the third shadow. And then even this is going to get some value, the bottom of this, because this paper, compared to this paper, is a little bit more tan, so it has a bit of a value to it. So that's going to have value too. All of this will have value, the whole thing. So when you peel this off, you're going to have white of the paper and then value. All right, so I have my shadows in. I have my apples in. Before I do anything, I'm going to erase all straight lines that I used to figure out where the apple is. And I was a little heavy-handed here, which might give me problems later on. We'll see what happens. These little marks that I put in here, I'm trying to take those out. And this little X in the middle, taking that out. Taking this out, taking my everything. The reason you're taking all this out is because when you apply value, every time you overlap an area, every time you overlap a line, it will get darker and darker and darker. So it's easier to do it now, take it out now, than later, because then you're going to be erasing a lot of work that you've already done and going back in and trying to correct it. It's not going to work out in your favor. And if there's any other lines that I missed, I'll get them at another time. All right, so now I just have the outline of the apples. There pretty well. And I'm going to take my kneaded eraser and make sure you knead it, especially if you use this for charcoal in a previous class. You don't want to use it on a graphite drawing. Preferably just get another kneaded eraser and use it fresh for the graphite. You run the risk of charcoal still being on your kneaded eraser, and then you put it on and you actually put charcoal on your graphite drawing, and it will be a pain in the butt to take it off. If you do have kneaded eraser, you're just gonna knead it. Knead it. So two things: it's self-cleaning, and you probably have learned this already. But it self-cleans by kneading, and also the heat from your hand warms it up, makes it a little more malleable to create into any erasing tool you need. Now, a lot of people think it's just for erasing. It's actually for drawings, for mark making. It's just another way. You can kind of see that I wrap it around my thumb, like this, and then I just mark as if I'm marking with my thumb. I also use it to erase. In this case, we're lightening the line. And the kneaded eraser just lightens the graphite. It doesn't take it away, it just lightens the line. So now I'm just gonna lighten this. So you probably won't be able to see this that well. And whenever I'm around the tape part, I'm gonna go in the opposite direction. I don't wanna peel the tape and with the eraser out. It's gonna give me problems later on. Now don't erase this so much that you can't see what you're doing. You don't know where your lines are. All right, I think that's good. The nice thing about this is that I have the value of the line is not going to get darker than that, because the exterior of these apples is dark anyway. So when I bring the value to that line, it's not, the line that exists there isn't darker, so I don't have to worry about it. I'm going to bring the value of this up, at least I have an edge, and I don't have to worry about the drawing portion of it, the sighting, the measuring. It's all there. Now I can just apply skin. Life is so easy now. And that's why we're doing something, a simple form, so it doesn't take that long to draw, and then you can just really focus on applying value. So that's going to be the next video.